Hey everyone, Christopher here, and welcome back to the Fossil Forward Homestead. I've been out here. It's Saturday, April 4th. April 4th, out here working in the garden, and I figured, I might as well bring out the camera and show a little bit of what I'm doing. Behind me used to be round stone flower bed. I was going to convert it into a fire pit, and a fire pit's still going to go here, but the ring was definitely far too big for just a residential leisure fire pit. So I'm pulling up the stones so I can make a smaller one at some point. And I may use the stones as pavers in the vegetable garden because the clay in there gets really messy. I haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna get back to work, and we'll show you around later. Alrighty, well, as always, came out to do one project, end up with a bunch of others. So I came out to plant radishes and Swiss chard in the vegetable garden, mostly because I have the seeds. I do really like Swiss chard. I'm kind of ambivalent on radishes, but I have the seeds, old seeds, so I might as well plant them while the time is right and see if I get anything from them. But I wanted to clear out more of the grass out of here first, so I started with that, moved a couple wheelbarrows to the compost area. And then over here was where we had the round stone, I guess, flower bed. I found a tag for impatiens flowers. Must have been planted there at some point, but last year it was all weeds. So I'm like, all right, let me clear the weeds out of here while I'm at it. And underneath the weeds was really nice, solid, dark dirt. Not this dirt here, but really nice black dirt. So I figured if I'm digging it out anyways, might as well dump that into the garden area. Mixing it in with some of that clay that's in there can't hurt, right? And that turned into, digging all the way down, pulling out the weed fabric, and then stacking up all the stones, which I'll either use to make, as I mentioned before, either make a small fire pit in this area, a recreational fire pit, or I may use them to do some paths inside the garden, so I have some place to step that's not a mucky, muddy mess, or some combination thereof. So yeah, that wasn't intentional, but good soil is good soil. You got to remember, we're trying to do this all on a budget as best we can. So I'm going to take the rake and spread out these couple piles of good dirt that I just put in there, and then we're going to get some radishes in over here by the snap peas, and then maybe some Swiss chard on the back margin there. Yeah, let's get to it. All right, one of the other projects I had was to plant some garlic chives in the herb garden. So I made a nice long line of them in the front here. That way they get tall, they won't shade out the rest of the herb garden because the sun comes from behind back here. So I got those in. The rest of the herbs that I put in here, I'll probably grab as starts, so I'll run to the store. I don't know if I'm going to get there today, but sometime this week, perhaps. Asparagus behind me, not doing it much of anything yet, because it's been less than a week. Garlic's looking pretty good, and then I did put some Swiss chard, like, right in between these poles here, just to see what happens. Last project is I got a little meow box that I need to put some catnip in. No, that's not the last project, but the last seeding project for today anyways. So let's get that done. All right, so there it is, little meow box. So I got to water in what I planted today, and then we'll move on to something else. Hopefully the catnip pops up, and then I'll have some fresh catnip for the kitties who are waiting for me to go back inside desperately. I'm not sure how much of this I talked about before, but the back along here is going to be meadow flower mix. I'm waiting for the seeds to come in, so for the time being, I'm just kind of smothering some of the grass. It doesn't need to be perfect, but make it a little bit easier for me to scrape it up later. And then I'm thinking, you see, I got a little bit of drainage structure here, but I'm thinking at the base of this hill, I'm going to make a swale and then a berm on this side. Plant some comfrey and such on top of the berm. Eventually have the water drain off somewhere that ways, towards the birdhouse area. But just get a little bit of water catchment going on in here, help keep some of the water out of the basement. It's all a work in progress. Ideas, lots of ideas. All right, Sunday morning. Happy Easter, everyone. Or more importantly, happy First Contact Day. If you know, you know. As you can see, I put some rocks inside the vegetable garden here as a bit of a path. I was initially going to do path all the way back here and then one along the back end or backside there as well. But let's be honest, especially with the way my hip is, I don't think I would have the balance to walk back there anyways. The idea was if I had the path back there, it could help me harvest the peas on that side and eventually tomatoes and stuff on this side, but I might just have to stick with the central path and walk off path on occasion when necessary. So I'm thinking instead maybe I'll find some nice flowers and I'll do the edges before I plant anything else, just to give a little color, better for the pollinators and keep it from being bare space. I'm not sure if you can see them, but I have an audience there. There's at least 3 or 4 back there sitting and watching, but alrighty. And then I've started laying out some branches here, down branches roughly where I think the berm's gonna go. The swale will be on this side of the berm, and then the soil that I dig out from here will pile on top of the branches. I'm just doing a really extremely rough layout for the moment, just to get a feel for it. Now, I was wondering at first if I was going to extend it all the way out here. Let's see if I can zoom out a bit. Zoom it, extend it back here, because you can see part of where the underground drainage is here. But this is the outdoor steps, and I was thinking actually of cutting some steps into the hillside, up to the tree line, so I can get up there without having to scramble all the time. So I haven't decided if I'll berm over here or leave like a little bridge or what, but you know, it's early, just kind of feeling things out as I go. I also raked all the leaves off the outdoor steps here. I like leaving leaves where they fall, but I figure they're more ecologically useful in the grassy areas. In this case, they went in the compost pile behind the shed. I think I did 3 or 4 bags full, and it really does clean up the steps a bit. Now I gotta sort the hose out at some point, get a rack for it, but I don't really have a good place to adhere a rack, so we'll see. It's supposed to rain soon, but I figured I'd get out and do a little bit of work before that. Well, it is Tuesday morning, and Mother Nature decided to throw a little LOL at us. So I don't think there's going to be too much gardening today. I'm going to stay inside and work on the business today. Well, it's Sunday the 12th. I don't know when I last filmed for this video, but I've started to tear up some of the grass here around the beds because the clover seed and the meadow seeds did come in. So all this area is going to eventually be clover, hopefully. Started doing some behind me as well here, vegetable garden behind me. I'm not going to seed everything at once because I'm going to still need some areas where I can walk. And I'm not worried about getting all of the grass out at the moment because clover is supposed to be pretty competitive. So I'm probably already doing more than I need to, but I want to give it some nice, good ground to work with. The seeds came in, so I'm going to seed some of this area now, and then I think I'm probably going to call it lunch. Might be the end of this video, I'm not sure. This is already like over a week long, so. Alright, keep it on, keep it on. Just got home and some of my ladies are out. One over there, one over there. Probably not to be happy when I come out of the car, but she's usually pretty tolerant of me. Sorry about all the shaking. Morning, honey. How you doing? Yeah, me too. Alrighty, so it's May 16th. This is going to be one long, weird, discombobulated video. But May 16th, which finally warm out, I got to work on the garden here, do some weeding, get some seeds in the ground. I'm going to try to get my tomatoes, peppers, squash, beans, all the things in there, flowers in there today, maybe tomorrow if I run out of time. But before I do that, I have to mow some grass because apparently the city of Troy does not like the fact that I'm keeping my grass wild for the wildlife. So I gave it a couple mows the other day, but it was raining and wet, so I got to do it today now that it's dry. I use, I'll go over here. I use manual push mower, so it's a bit of a workout. But I don't feel like paying $5 a gallon for gas to mow grass I don't even want to mow to start with. But anyways, that's just me ranting. We'll do that. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get the meadow seed planted. We'll pull up the cardboard and get that planted. And yeah, then we'll be off running. So I'm going to get to it, and I'll come back here or there and update you where I'm at. Well, I was just starting to mow, and this little critter slithered on out of the grass. Hope I didn't hit him. It's my first snake of, of the house, actually. But I don't know my snakes at all, but I'm assuming it's a garter snake, and we'll look it up later. But I'm pretty sure it's less happy with me than I am with it. I actually don't mind snakes as long as they're not the type to bite me. Alrighty, so as you can see, I still got a lot of green in here, mostly weeds, but I'm just doing a rough weed job. Again, if you want to watch a channel that knows what they're doing, it's not this one. I'm low budget, just kind of figuring it out as I go. But you can see here, I got some sugar snap peas coming up. The new seeds I bought did the best. The ones that I had in my seed stock did not sprout, but all of my seeds are really old, so not surprised. I do have a long line of radishes. A lot of weeds in there. I'll take some video on the other side. You can actually see some of the red popping out. I gotta figure out when I know it's time to harvest those, but you can see more of the sugar snaps. But yeah, I'm just trying to do a rough weeding here. Not really worried about the fine details. It doesn't have to look beautiful, it just has to be functional. But I'm gonna take a little break from that, and because I pretty much finished this fence line as far as weeding. So I'm gonna do a mixture of sunflowers, New England sugar pie pumpkin, allegedly, and scarlet runner beans. I know it's a weird mix, but again, my seeds are old. I don't know what's going to sprout, what's not. So it's going to be my own weird version of the three sisters along the fence line there. And then I'll probably come in and do this fence line because I'm almost done with that one. And that's going to be, I believe, borage and calendula. So just some nice flowers for pollinators. And then I'm going to try to squeeze myself back here, weed that a little bit, and that's going to be buckwheat and button flowers. I'm blanking here. Anyways, another type of flower. I will think of it as soon as I turn the camera off. But yeah, let's let's get some seeds in the ground, take a little break from all the weeding. All right, you don't have to at me in the comments. I know it's weedy, and I know I am going way crazy on the pumpkin seeds, and then you can see some of the scarlet runner beans here in there as well. Again, these are old seeds. I don't know what's going to pop up, if anything, so I'm just overseeding the hell out of it, and we'll see what happens. Next, it's going to be sunflowers. I still have a huge bag of New England sugar pie pumpkins that I saved from 2019, so I think back in the top of the hill in the woodland area there, I think there's an open field. I may spread them out in. The deer and everything else will probably get them, but they're not doing me any good in the box, and you know, I'm likely going to start buying new seeds next year, so might as well use them. They're not doing me any good as is. Alright, everything's in on this side. I did the some of the lemon sunflowers, the mammoth sunflowers, and one of the blends. I'm going to put the rest in with the meadow mix that's going back in there. It's all grown primarily in native soil, but I just sprinkle a little topsoil, good soil on top. You know, again, did all the, or a bunch of the sugar pie and the scarlet runner. I just figured while I was over here, you can see some of the radishes have some color on them. So I might get some little baby radishes yet. All right. Bit of an update. So planted on this side here. I didn't really have much in the way of borage, so I planted like the 3 seeds I had. I did white marigold up front, and then a mix of calendula over here, which I didn't have a lot of either, but I planted what I had. I planted what borage I had, and then I mixed in some of the red, white, and blue bashful buttons, which was the word I was trying to think of before, and then a little bit of buckwheat. So we should have a nice little mix of flowers come up here. And then back here, I did a heavier mix of pink and white buckwheat with what was left of the red, white, and blue bashful buttons. Though actually, I think I did save some to toss in with the meadow mix just for fun. And now, as you can see, I'm planning out where I got my pole beans. I'm going with the old homestead. And again, I am going to heavily overseed. This is probably way too close. I'm going to plant way too many seeds. It's just, you know, I want to use these seeds, get them done with, and hope something actually grows. And then on this side, we're going to do the Market More 76 cucumbers. And I'll get some more of these poles here, and then I'll make a trellis that goes along this way, hopefully for them to climb on. All right, got the beans in, got the cucumbers in. I did plant some beans in the 2 areas where the peas didn't pop up. Now I'm going to put some squash in here, and again, I'm going to overdo it because I don't know what's going to pop up, if anything. For over here, I'm going to try this cucuzzi squash. I'm going to try delicata here. Let's see, caserta zucchini, and then a Burgess buttercup white, or winter squash rather. Again, I'll overseed it. My policy is better to just try it and see what happens. If I wait and try to be perfect at everything, nothing's gonna get done, so let's get them in. All right, we got the squashes in. My spacing is wonderful, of course. And now we just gotta do this side, which are gonna be tomatoes and peppers. I'm gonna do a line of basil here. My seeds fly away. Do some sweet basil. Oh, that's there's basil there. We're gonna do some bush cherries. Well, I might actually change that out. I didn't realize it was a bush cherry. I want something bigger. I have some other cherries, but we'll put a cherry tomato there. We'll do a row of Muscovich. No idea what that one's supposed to be like. We'll do a row of whatever kind of tomato that is. We'll do a little bit of Tabasco peppers, hot, 5-color hot, and then some sweet banana. I'm gonna have to rethink this probably in the future, because not as many plants in here as I would like to be able to fit, but that's life sometimes. You gotta work with what you get. So I'm gonna pick a different cherry and get these in the ground. And then get this area watered. It's getting hot out here. I was just finishing up this planting the seeds, got the tomatoes and peppers in, and my ladies have arrived. Some of them anyways. Took them a few hours, but they finally showed up to see what I was doing. But anyways, so that's a wrap on that. I put in way too many rows, way too close together, too many seeds in each row. You know the drill at this point. I gotta water all this in. I'm gonna water in the garlic and the clovers. The chives never popped up in the herb bed. So I have some herb seeds. I'll plant them, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or another day. You can see clover is popping up fairly well in a lot of places. I hadn't seeded this area before, so I just did that now. I was gonna wait until after that was planted, but I can walk on the rocks and whatever. And then we got more clover seed coming in here. My goal is to maybe heavily seed all this area with clover, because that's around the area where they were complaining about the tall grass. So if I can get it to switch over to clover, I'll still have to mow on occasion, but it'll be easier than foot tall grass. So yeah, garlic's looking pretty good. I'm not gonna even bother showing you the asparagus trench. I'm not seeing any signs of life in there. That might have been a waste of effort this year. I may have not bought good starts. I should have gone for a more reputable company. But anyways, I'm gonna water these in, dump that in the compost bin, put the seeds away, and crash. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that long wandering video. Obviously, I'm back inside in the Fossil Forward Finds eBay reselling office, all cleaned up after the hard day's work today. Spent about 4 hours out there today planting the garden. And I realized I didn't have a proper send-off, although I probably did a send-off here or there throughout the entire shenanigans. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about my chaotic process, my animal friends, the fact that I can't have tall grass, and all the other nonsense I may have talked about during this video. And thanks for watching if you made it this far. We'll catch you on the next one.